We don't often find out much about Woodbridge on Meet the Leaders, but you're going to today in just a moment. Hi there, welcome to Meet the Leaders. I'm David Smith. As I say, Woodbridge doesn't often fall into the purview of the program because it's one of the smaller towns around. It's a very important town and a beautiful place to be, and we are pleased to have with us the first select woman of the town of Woodbridge. Ellen Skeletor is our guest on this edition. Nice to have you here.
It's a pleasure to be here, David. Thank you.
You're getting into this role is quite a story in itself, and it happened quite recently, and it was quite an undertaking to become that first selectman, wasn't it?
That's right. It was a very unusual circumstance. In Woodbridge, we have May elections in the odd year, and in odd numbered year, I should say.
That's right.
And in 2013, just 2 weeks before the election, our first selectman, Ed Sheehy, who is very much beloved in the town,
Right.
passed away very suddenly. And there had to be a decision very quickly about substitution on the ballot for Ed, and I agreed to do that. So it was a very wonderfully short campaign, but something that I hadn't been preparing for in advance. So since then, the election was May, and I took office in July of 2013.
Well, now we should say that you are very familiar with the town, so that portion is not something that you had to overcome, but the role that you had to take over is a very important one, and it calls upon a lot of information and skills and so forth, and to get this going, it really had to be very taxing for you.
Well, it was certainly very challenging.
Yeah.
I had a great deal of help, I have to say. The town employees are terrific, were very supportive, and helped me get up to speed. And we also have amazing volunteerism in the town of Woodbridge. Our town runs on volunteer effort and volunteer energy. We have people with great expertise who volunteer on our boards and commissions. So overall, it was a joint effort and really helped me get up to speed. But as you say, there is a lot of responsibility to be the CEO of a town, and it's been a great privilege to do it.
All right, once you're there, you're in the big chair, and there are all kinds of challenges, and I know that you're meeting them in lots of different ways. Electricity.
Yes.
Something that we all take so much for granted, and yet we really can't, can we?
Well, there's so much change at this moment and so many challenges, and there are two initiatives that are very important for Woodbridge. One is we were one of the first recipients of a microgrid grant from the state of Connecticut, and we've been working on that. And that means that our town center buildings, as well as our regional high school, which is in Woodbridge, will be connected underground on a grid that is separate from the general grid. And in case of a power failure, we will have energy. So we've been working on that. It's a fascinating project, and one of the first in the state and, in fact, in the nation.
Now, this is a generation system.
Correct.
Specifically for these buildings?
Yes, it's generation and underground transmission. And we have a $3 million grant from the state for the transmission, and we will be able to work out a plan where it doesn't actually cost the town anything to have the generation. And it looks like at this point it will be all fuel cell, clean generation right here in town.
Well, that's very exciting. Now,
it's terrific.
Where does that stand in development now?
Right now, we're just working out the details with United Illuminating, and hopefully we'll have a contract within the next couple of weeks to go ahead.
How long do you expect that to take?
Once we have the contract, I'm thinking probably about a year.
About a year. And
yes.
is this going to add jobs to the Woodbridge community and the surrounding area?
Well, there certainly will be jobs in connection with the fuel cell. That's also a Connecticut industry, so It's very important for the state. And there'll be the work of the underground transmission lines, and that's what's very important for this. In addition, there'll be a fuel cell at the regional high school, and they'll be able to use the heat generated by the fuel cells in the school. So it's a real 21st century energy project.
Now, how was Woodbridge chosen to receive this?
Through an application that was put in, and the state is already on the second round now of applications, but we were one of the first in the first round.
I know that Milford is getting a similar sort of thing along
believe
the way
so.
and so forth. So
Right.
this is getting very exciting. And with the weather and the situations we've been faced with, it really is a necessity, isn't it?
It's wonderful for us to have that backup, because when we have power outages, we can have a week to 2 weeks of no power. And in Woodbridge, we're dependent upon, for many people, upon wells, so we don't have water,
Yeah.
we don't have electricity. So it's terrific.
I know it only too well, as a matter of fact. The Country Club of Woodbridge became a town facility a while ago, a few years ago, and where does that stand in its evolution?
Yes, well, before we move on to it, I want to mention one
Yeah.
other item on the electricity side.
Please.
Because one area where I've heard from residents repeatedly is, what can we do about solar? Many people are interested in adding solar to their homes. So I did turn to town volunteers, as I've mentioned, and we set up an ad hoc committee, and they came back with a recommendation for how we could proceed. And we've now launched the Woodbridge Energy Challenge. And I want to mention that our first informational meeting is on November 18th at 6:30 in the center gym. And that's important because we at first said it would be in the library, but the sign up has been so overwhelming, we've already moved to a large location for the town residents.
This is an information session on solar in particular?
Yes, well, there's two pieces to it. One is home energy audits. So as part of this, people can get a reduced price home energy audit with recommendations for energy savings in their homes, and also a solar audit. People come out and look at the home and tell them if it's feasible. It's a one-stop shopping. You can learn about how to finance solar if you're interested in it, what tax credits are available. So I think it's something that will be of great benefit, and I know it's of great interest to our residents.
Okay, that's November the 18th now, and the site has been changed to?
The center gym at
Center gym.
6:30.
Okay.
Yes.
We move now to the country club because this is something that has meant a lot to the town.
Yes, indeed. The town purchased what was then called the Woodbridge Country Club in 2009. The club was bankrupt, and the Board of Selectmen, I was not part of it at the time, but voted unanimously to purchase the land in order to control development there. It's 150 beautiful acres, and they contemplated some development, but wanted to make sure the town had a say in
the
it.
control.
Yes, to control this. And all purchases of land in Woodbridge go to a town vote, and it was overwhelmingly supported by the town. Subsequently, there was a proposal to build some over 55 housing that was rejected by the town. Again, that's before I was first selectman. And what I heard was that people felt there was not enough public input and discussion about what town residents would like to see at the country club property. So I've made a point of having as many public discussion opportunities as possible. We had 2 community conversation formats. We had 2 informational programs where people could ask questions. Various boards and commissions have had meetings, and we've had other opportunities to speak about it in our Plan of Conservation and Development update that we're working on. So I'd say there have been at least 10 or 11 town meetings where there's opportunities for us to hear
What
from
other
the town.
suggestions are people making?
Well, there is a great deal of interest in some over 55 housing. People really feel they would like to retire and downsize and be able to stay in Woodbridge. So
Right.
that's one thing that's of great interest.
And generally, it doesn't impact the town very greatly, these over 55
Right.
communities.
It's not as much of a burden on certainly on our school system,
Right.
and they are increasingly popular. So that's one thing that people expressed interest in. There is a group that would like very much to keep golf in the community.
Okay.
There are people who continue to golf, and there's a very strong open space interest in Woodbridge, which I support as well. So we're trying to balance the different interests and come up with a proposal that satisfies as many people as possible.
And when is a decision to be made?
Well, the process there is that we went out with an RFP, and in the RFP, we asked for two types of proposals, either one or the other or both. And one was based on a consultant's recommendation that was some limited over 55 housing in a specified area and keeping the golf course entirely the way it was. But we also felt, because it's such a beautiful parcel and there were so many different ideas, that we would entertain anything at all that a developer would like to propose to us, as long as it met certain criteria. And the first criterion is that it has to be a fiscally viable plan for the town.
Okay.
We've invested quite a bit of money in it, and we need it to work financially for the town. Secondly, it has to be up to the highest standards of environmental friendliness, and up to high standards. We would like to see, if possible, some over 55 housing and open space. So we received 2 responses to the RFP, which are being reviewed at this time by an ad hoc committee of town residents, a broad spectrum of town residents. They meet publicly noticed meetings, but they do meet in executive session to look over the proposals. They will shortly make a recommendation to the Board of Selectmen, and then if the Board of Selectmen sees something they would like, then it will go to the town.
So a town meeting will be held?
There'll be a town meeting. There'll definitely be a town meeting. We'll have to decide later if it's a town meeting or a referendum vote.
Okay.
More likely a referendum on something of this magnitude.
Sounds interesting. It
It's
sounds
very
like there
interesting.
are some interesting possibilities there for that property.
They're a terrific,
Valuable.
Indeed.
Speaking of projects, capital projects, you've got, it's been relatively quiet of late, but you've got some further interest going on in other areas.
We do have quite a bit going on in the capital area. Woodbridge was kind of sleepy in its capital projects in the 70s and the 80s, and then realized it was time to bring our infrastructure up to date. So in the 90s, we did our library and some other buildings. We're just concluding now our Public Works Garage, which is a state-of-the-art, environmentally friendly building. It is dedicated to Ed Sheehy, the first selectman who passed away, and that dedication will probably happen sometime during the month of November. And we also have a major renovation at our elementary school, Beecher Road School. Again, many environmental aspects of the job will make it really terrific for the school and for the town.
Well, it's an interesting scenario that you pitched there. You've got this the country club area that is facing some real changes, and obviously these other projects that have gone forward already. You're picking up some speed in your role.
We're busy. We are very busy, and our Beecher Road School is just a terrific place. The academic learning and the atmosphere are so wonderful. In fact, Beecher Road School is bucking the demographic trends. They've been predicting elementary school populations to decrease, and ours has been increasing. The school is so popular.
Well, that's pretty
it's
exciting
terrific.
in itself.
Yes.
But one of the things that small towns have difficulty with is bringing people together. They typically don't have areas that people gravitate to because they often don't have town centers. How are you dealing with that?
Well, that's been a priority for me since I took office. We have wonderful, wonderful things going on in town, but sometimes people get involved in one aspect of the town and they don't really realize all the other ones. So we've been working to bring people together in different ways. One is we've established a listserv so that we can get the word out to as many people as possible. I would encourage everyone listening to go to our website, which is woodbridgect.org, and sign up for the listserv. We also are now on Facebook. People can like us on Facebook.
Oh, look at you.
And we try to keep our website more up to date. So that's one thing. Information is key, and we've been working on that. And then the kinds of activities that we have just a terrific community farm, Massaro Farm, an organic farm that is just beautiful and does all kinds of community events for children, for adults.
WoodbridgeCT.gov will have all that on there?
.org.
.org.
It's woodbridgect.org
.org
is the place to go to sign up for the
Ellen,
listener.
thank you so much for being with us. Lots going on there, and it sounds like you're right, the woman for the job. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you
on the
so
program.
much.
Ellen Skeletor, the first selectman of the town of Woodbridge. Lots happening in that little burg. We've got more coming up for you on another show, but that's all the time we have for this one. Thank you. I'm David Smith. We'll catch you next time.